Today we're going to apply some of the genetics vocabulary that we have been using. We're going to actually not just match the word with a definition, but we're going to actually use the word correctly. And so this will kind of give you an idea if you have a little bit higher level of application skill on this vocabulary. So put your heading in the top right corner, science, and then your class period, the date. Scientists at Bikini Bottom have been investigating the genetic makeup of the organisms in this community. They want you to use the information provided and your knowledge of genetics to answer these questions. For each genotype below, this is a genotype, indicate whether it is a heterozygous or a homozygous genotype. You will indicate that by, you don't have to write the whole word because it's kind of long, but using the prefix. So, for example, we have 2 capital T's. We could classify that as homozygous dominant. So we're going to write homo, the prefix for same. If we had an uppercase and a lowercase, we would say that is heterozygous. And so we are going to write hetero. When they talk about a purebred, that means that there is nothing, if something is pure, there's nothing else contaminating it. Purebred means it's all the same, nothing different. So which of the genotypes in number 1 would be considered purebred? The heterozygous or the homozygous? Which one has only one kind? The homozygous. So purebred is the same as homozygous. The genotype in number 1 that would be considered a hybrid means it's part one thing, part another. My son wants to get a car that runs on gasoline, but it could also run on the battery. So it has both. If we're applying this to genetics, a hybrid would have both a dominant and a recessive trait. So that would be our heterozygous. Okay, you're going to answer the rest of them. Number 2, determine the phenotype for each of the genotypes using the information provided about SpongeBob. They tell us that yellow body color is a dominant trait over blue or to blue. So if they're asking you what is the phenotype, phenotype means what am I physically going to see. So if I have a genotype of dominant Y, then that means that the body color is going to be yellow. All right, you're going to do the rest of those. Number 3, for each phenotype, give the genotype that are possible for Patrick. If Patrick is tall, and tall is the dominant trait, little t is the recessive trait. If Patrick is tall, the possibilities are that he could be homozygous, dominant for tall, or he could be heterozygous for being tall. If he is short, there's only one way that the short recessive gene, recessive allele is going to show up, and that's if there's no dominant present. So that's the only possibility if he is short. You're going to do the one for the pink body color. Number 4 says SpongeBob SquarePants recently met Sponge Susie Roundpants at a dance. SpongeBob is heterozygous for his square shape, but Sponge Susie is round. Create a Punnett square to show the possibilities that would result if these two had children. Hint, look at question number 2. So, question number 2, we had the color yellow is dominant. No, we're not doing color, we're doing shape. Square shape is dominant. So if he is heterozygous for square shape, they used a capital S for being square, and the recessive trait was a lowercase s, meaning they were round. So here's SpongeBob's genotype. Now we've got to find Susie's. She is round. The only way to get round is to have 2 recessive traits. So Susie is going to be little s, little s. So when we fill these in, Really doesn't matter where you put them. Here's little s. Here's a uppercase. I exaggerate the size just so that I can differentiate. I'm going to take this and go across. I'm going to take this one and go across. I'm going to take these and go down. This one and go down. Now, it says list the possible genotypes. Well, possible genotype is a heterozygous or homozygous recessive. It also says list the phenotype. So if I get this genotype, then I am going to have a square body shape. If I get this, then I'm going to have a round body shape. Now they want to know the probability or the chances of getting a square. So 1, 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4 are going to be round, so that is 50%. And there are 1, 2 that are going to be round out of a total of 4, which is also 50%. Now, you're going to do the rest of these, but I'll read them to you. Patrick and Patty are at a dance. Both of them are heterozygous for their pink body color, which is dominant over yellow body color. Create a Punnett square to show the possibilities that would result if Patrick and Patty had children. Hint, read question 3. So when we go back to question 3, they told us that pink, they're going to use uppercase P, lowercase p. And so heterozygous means that they are different. So we're going to have one capital and one lowercase. For both parents, you're going to fill in the Punnett square and the rest of those. On the back, it says everyone in Squidward's family has light blue skin, which is a dominant trait for body color. In his hometown of Squid Valley, his family brags that they are purebred line. He recently married a nice girl who was light green-skinned, which is a recessive trait. Create a Punnett square to show the possibilities that would result if Squidward and his new bride had children. Use a capital B to represent the dominant gene and a lowercase b to represent the recessive gene. So purebred means that they are going to be homozygous. If the dominant trait is blue and they're homozygous, then you're going to have two capitals for Squidward. If his new bride is green, that's the recessive trait. So you're going to have homozygous recessive. You're going to put these into the Punnett square, fill it out, and then answer the following questions. Number 7, assume that one of Squidward's sons, something from here, is heterozygous for the light blue body color. They married a girl that is also heterozygous. They want you to create a Punnett square for the possible offspring for those children. So you're going to fill in the Punnett square and do number 7. Number 8, Mr. Krabs and his wife recently had a little Krabby, but it's not been a happy occasion for them. Mrs. Krabs has been upset since she first saw her new baby, who had short eyeballs. She claims that the hospital goofed and mixed up her baby with someone else's baby. Mr. Krabs is homozygous for his tall eyeballs, while his wife is heterozygous for her tall eyeballs. Some members of their family have short eyes, which is the recessive trait. Create a Punnett square using capital T for the dominant gene, tall eyeballs, and lowercase t for the recessive, shorter eyes. So you're going to fill in the Punnett square. You're going to list the possible genotypes and the phenotypes. But at the end, did the hospital make a mistake? You'll answer yes or no, and then explain how you know or justify your answer.